Étage 0. Sixième étage.
You look very glowy. Are you pregnant? I wish. You wish?
Deuxième étage.
This is the daily video. This is the daily elevator clip. Elevating and the elevator. Bye.
Étage 0.
Étage 0. I look a little bit uncomfortable for some reason. I do? I do. Maybe it's the way I'm holding that. Maybe it's because we're hipster beige monsters. Shh.
Étage 0.
Don't say it. We're just... Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. We are in Paris. We're in Paris for 2 weeks. We've already been here about 5 days, so I'm catching you in the middle of the trip. We're here for work. We're performing in this theater called La Villette. And yeah, so we're here in Paris. Tonight I'm going to see Beyonce because Beyonce is also in Paris. It should be just a really fun memory, and it's my last few months working with these coworkers like in this way since I'm leaving this job, so it feels like the right time to have just a really fun memory together. So about 6 of us are going. Anyway, so this is the hotel room. It looks like it's kind of cute and nice, but actually it feels pretty dirty and it's not ideal, not amazing. I'm limited on time because I am working a little bit. So I've got to run to the theater in like 20 minutes. So I'm hoping tomorrow I'll be able to update you on how the concert went. We're in literally the back row, all the way in the corner. So we're not gonna see anything, we're just gonna hear it and feel like the exciting vibes. But we were not about to pay like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of euros for these tickets. So we are in the back row, baby. I can update you on what I'm currently reading is Eileen by Ottessa Moshfegh, because I host a in-person book club in Tel Aviv, and like with all of my book clubs, I'm a complete failure at being a good host. But a few of the people that are participating in the book club are on this tour, so we all decided that we're gonna read it while we're here. So I'm reading Eileen, and then I'm also reading Slow Days, Fast Company. I can get it for you. The World, the Flesh, and LA by Eve Babbitt. Gorgeous cover. I've been wanting to read Eve Babbitt for a while, and I'm reading this as a buddy read with Pato. So that's great and exciting and fun. Yeah, and I did finish another book, but I want to talk to you about that tomorrow because I like really want to talk about it or just share more thoughts, and I don't really have time to do it like in a way that feels like how I want to do it. So I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. The color palette. Good morning, Vogue. Good morning, Vogue. Good morning. Look at the many of us behind. I'm so shiny. I'm wearing all the French
Étage
Pharmacy
0.
on one place. Hello. Hello. I need to moisturize my face because it is dry as hell. One moment. As you can see, I'm coming to you from the hotel room, and there's just no good way to prop myself. Let's move the TV away. It has in fact been more than a day since you have seen the last clip. It's been probably 3 days or 4 days. You know, if you've ever been to Paris, you know it's just an endless amount of like things to be busy with. Although I'm really happy that this trip I felt a bit less ambitious to like do a lot of things or to see a lot of things, and we're also more in a like younger, more local neighborhood, like a bit outside of the center. And so that's also been helping with like feeling just more calm. Like I don't know, in past trips to Paris, I felt like, oh my god, I have to run around and do all these things, and I have to buy all these things, and I have to spend all this money, and this time I'm happy to like not be in this like craze. So I said I would come back and talk to you about reading. Where's my Kindle? Is this better? Yes, but like how do I sit? No, I would have to stand. All of that and the Kindle was right behind me. Okay, I'm losing my mind. Book that I finished, that I wanted, you know, a proper moment to reflect on, and that was This Is Not Miami by Fernanda Melchor. I would show you because I had it physically, but I gave it to my friend Grace because we met up like the second day I arrived here, and she was saying that she hasn't seen any of Fernanda Melchor's books translated into French, and maybe they have been, and she just doesn't see them in stores, or they're not like widely publicized. And I had just finished on the airplane here This Is Not Miami, which is like the new collection of nonfiction narrative pieces that she's written. And so I just gave it to her. That's all to say. That was a really long explanation for that. I just gave it to her. Notice when I haven't been filming consistently is I over explain. It was such a good read. I was buddy reading this with Jessica from Jessica's Bookstack on Instagram. She's not as active anymore, but she still has a great Instagram, and she does post occasionally what she's reading. And we read that together, and it was just amazing. Like, so interesting. Her fascination with crime. I would like to say, if you're not familiar with Fernanda Melchor, that it's translated from the Spanish. She grew up in Veracruz, which is a city in Mexico that there's a lot of crime, a lot of drug cartel related crime, sexual violence, things like that. So she has this kind of fascination with violence, which you would know if you've read any of her novels, like Hurricane Season and Paradise. I've only read Hurricane Season, which I loved, and is very intense. So these are like true crime stories of actual accounts of crime in Mexico, specifically around Veracruz, or not, if not at all in Veracruz, actually, where she's from. And it also speaks a lot about this line between fact and fiction, because in a way, any true story, even when it's told by one person, you get it through their subjectivity. So in a way, it becomes somewhat fictionalized. You know, if you want to tell a true story, a story is still a story. So there is an element of it that is that requires an act of fiction, like in order to put those real situations in a piece of prose. It's not just a report in the newspaper. There was something so compulsive about reading these crime stories. And talks a lot about drugs, drug use, drug cartels, the arrival and like the arrival of cocaine in Veracruz, and also and just how it kind of infiltrated the streets. And also This Is Not Miami comes from one of the stories, which is about, you know, immigrants that are trying to make it to the US on a boat, and the boat made like an unauthorized, or like not and the boat was supposed to arrive like after 3 stops or something in Miami, and the boat stops in extra place in Veracruz, and so all of these migrants get off of the boat and they're running for their life and trying to get help from some of the workers in the port area, and they're like, is this Miami? And one of the characters that we're following in that story is like, this is not Miami, like, you did not make it to Miami, this is Mexico, and it's now going to be very difficult for you to get to the US. So yeah, it really strong stories, and also a lot of interesting things about violence against women, and all of the stories are harrowing and hard. It talks a lot about drugs, drug use, drug cartels, the arrival of cocaine in Veracruz, and also how it kind of infiltrated the streets. And also, This Is Not Miami comes from one of the stories, which is about, immigrants that are trying to make it to the US on a boat, and the boat was supposed to arrive like after 3 stops or something in Miami, and the boat stops in extra place in Veracruz, and so all of these migrants get off of the boat and they're running for their life and trying to get help from some of the workers in the port area, and they're like, is this Miami? And one of the characters that we're following in that story is like, this is not Miami, like, you did not make it to Miami, this is Mexico, and it's now going to be very difficult for you to get to the US. Really strong stories, and also a lot of interesting things about violence against women, and all of the stories are harrowing and hard. Of course, I would like to say that. We're talking about violence in a lot of them, but it is still very readable, and it didn't disturb me in a way where I felt it was exploitative or anything. Like, somehow it was easy to read. There's one story about this mother who is accused and imprisoned for murdering her 2 sons, and she was like a beauty queen. She was like the Veracruz beauty pageant winner or something. I don't remember exactly what the situation was, but I felt that story was so interesting about how we view beauty, and especially that community in Veracruz, like the way that women are looked at and objectified, and also how crime and violence by women is a lot harder to swallow in society than violence from men. There are many layers in this book that are very thought-provoking and also very spooky. There's one pretty long story about, like, one of the longer pieces about this kind of like haunted house that's kind of famous by the locals, that this is a haunted house, and it takes you through like some eyewitness accounts of a group of individuals, and there's like a crazy fucking exorcism in that story, and it's wild, and it's so brilliant, like as a piece of narrative nonfiction. It's absolutely amazing. Sometimes when books, spooky or scary books, I'm very easily prone to like eye rolling at them, and this was just really well done, maybe because it's more rooted in reality. Blah 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 blah. It was really good. I just tell you to read it, okay? So that was This Is Not Miami, and I gave that to Grace. When I spend so much money on buying a shit ton of books that I don't have space for in my house, it feels really amazing to just like read it, highlight it, love it and pass it on to someone else and never see it again. Current reads are Slow Days, Fast Company, The World of Flesh in LA by Eve Babbitt. As I said, I'm reading this with the lovely Pato, and we haven't really started our discussions back and forth about it yet. I'm also 46 pages in. The introduction is very interesting. I'm from Las Vegas. I was born in Las Vegas, and I frequently went to Los Angeles as a kid. I really like LA a lot. I like books about California and also about, like, one of the stories is about Bakersfield, kind of cities in the middle of nowhere, and in the desert. And it just reminded me of a lot of those kind of small rest stop towns that you pass through when you would drive from Nevada to California and vice versa. Yeah, so the story about this man that she meets and goes to Bakersfield with, and has this like really random experience there, was so fascinating and very kind of like nostalgic for me, and it was exactly the kind of place that I like to read about. So I'm really looking forward to reading more of this. The next story, or essay I guess, is called Heroine. So Eve Babbitt is so interesting. I like her voice a lot. It's funny, it's witty, it's dry, it's very observational, like classic kind of cool girl California vibes, which I find very fun to read. And her coolness is not something that I find super alienating, because I think it can go that direction sometimes and then like lose my interest. And this is the opposite of that. So I'm loving it, but I'm really at the beginning, so I have not a lot to say. And then I'm reading Eileen by Ottessa Moshfegh. I'm reading it on my Kindle. And this is Ottessa Moshfegh's, I'm sure you all know this, her debut novel. I think before that she wrote McGlue, which is like a novella. But this is her first kind of full-length novel, following a character named Eileen, who is looking back on her life like 60 years prior or something, when she's in her 20s, or 40 years ago or something. And while she's, in her mid-20s, working in a young men's correctional facility, like a prison for teen boys. And I'm really also at the beginning, like 3 chapters in, but like any Moshfegh book, I find it super readable, super compulsive, very funny, very unlikable, but also relatable character. And my partner Ohad and a friend of mine, Yael, who I work with, is also reading it. So it's fun to like talk about it with each other. It's dark, it's cold, like it would be a perfect winter book, because it takes place in like New England when it's fucking freezing and depressing, and you know, like a cold place and a liquor store, and you're buying a lot of booze for your alcoholic dad, and you hate everything and you hate everyone and you hate your life, and you work in a prison, and it's bleak, but the character is funny. That's that. I think that's all I have to update you on. I have a show tonight, a performance, so I have to run soon. I also have the arc of Deborah Levy's new novel, August Blue, which Jessica, that I was speaking about earlier, she said that she just read it and she thinks that that book is like, would be perfect for me. She was like, it's a very Ben book. So I love Deborah Levy. I think it's about this woman who like sees in a market like a doppelganger of herself and becomes kind of like obsessed with this doppelganger. And I think it takes place in Rome, which is very fitting for me. So I think I will love it. But I'll finish Eileen first. Merci for watching. I don't know if I'll end it here or if I'll keep going. We'll see. But thanks for watching for now. Also, if I buy any interesting things while I'm here, I mean, this is a new t-shirt and new glasses, but you already see them. Leather pants for 15 euros in a secondhand store. I'm airing them out because they smell like a thrift store. I was having a moment. Thank you for watching. See you later. Bye.
Something about the color, like it's both so strong.
Oh, strong hands. So, yeah, just twist.
Nails are breaking.
Don't break your nails.